ran into my ex with his beautiful new wife and their baby.
You remember Gia?
Last time I saw her, her face was covered by your crotch. When we were married, he said he didn't want kids. And now I'm never gonna be a mom.
You don't need a husband to have a baby. Just go and get some.
What?
You know?
Oh. I don't want to sleep with some rando. I want to know that the father of my child is a good person.
Right. What if we found them for you? I'm thinking 2, maybe 3. We got to flood the fallopian tubes.
You're talking about an orgy?
No, that's insane. You can't do that. You can't just... Although, it could work. Is there nuts in that?
I can put nuts in it for you. Would you like that? I could put nuts anywhere you'd like.
Okay. I can do this. It's just casual sex.
Go on in, sleaze the day.
Hi.
Hi.
Just like a game, you make you play.
I'm MJ.
Hey guys,
Hi.
wanna hang out some of this?
No, thank you. I'm taking an Uber later. I like to be of sound mind when I'm in a car with a stranger.
Oh, this is not me.
You're gonna be a slut tonight. Slut. Slut.
How about we talk about you?
How about we don't talk?
Yes, you have a bush. You have actual pubic hair!
You were supposed to find me nice guys so I could have nice babies.
You're gonna love my guy.
That is the shirtless chef.
One of you bozos give me a stripper?
You're welcome.
Kinda hot in here.
My friend getting pregnant tonight.
We wait for everything in our lives. We have to wait for them to ask us to prom, to ask us to marry them, until they're ready to have kids. Well, I am done waiting.
Don't cross the line. Don't pretend that you don't stare.
Getting a little help from gravity.
I love this party.
Oh no. Condom broke.
Oh no, maybe you're too big and the condom burst.
It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
Who here has not had sex with Jacqueline tonight?
Did you have a gangbang at my birthday party?
No.
This is like the Bachelorette.
Obviously, I mean, you're uninvited to Thanksgiving.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are here today with a ridiculously fun and talented director, Thom Harp. We're here to talk about his movie, The Donor Party, which, is available right now to watch. Tom, hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, we're great, man. This comedy here, starring Melanie Ackerman, Rob Corddry, and Jerry O'Connell, who he interviewed last week. It's kind of nuts. Can you tell the audience what it's about, since they may or may not know?
Sure. Well, The Donor Party is about a woman who, after 15 years of marriage that ended, and he said he never wanted to have kids with her. She runs into her ex at this garden shop, and not only is he remarried, but he's also got a baby hanging off of him and another one in his wife on the way. And so she's just like, what happened? What happened to my life? And she feels like there's not enough time for her to get, the husband and then to have kids and all that kind of stuff, that her biological clock is really ticking. And her friends say, you don't really need to have a husband to get a baby, but she can't afford to do adoption or IVF or any of those kinds of things. So they do it the really old fashioned way, and they plan a way for her to get pregnant kind of when she's ovulating at a birthday party. A mutual friend's birthday party. And the poor guy is played by Rob Corddry, who kind of doesn't know what's happening. And when he puts all the pieces together, it's definitely not the best birthday party he's ever been to. So
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound like a fun time. You have a wonderful cast. Can you talk about putting that all together? That must have taken some effort.
well, yeah, and I got really lucky, but also I want to say that I had tremendous support. So one of the first things that happened is I reached out to a casting director whose name is Jill Anthony Thomas, and she loved the script, but she was really busy. She does TV comedies. She's done tons of amazing comedies, and that's why I reached out to her. And she said, listen, I'm too busy, but my associate, Anthony Krause, would love to do it. And Anthony and I, before we even had a producer on board, talked about the kind of people that we wanted. And we had really perfectly in tune taste. So, and one of the things that I recognized is this is a story where even though there's no nudity, there's a lot of sexual material in it. You have to be comfortable talking about that, and you have to be comfortable with, comedy sex. It's not, none of it is done to be sexy. It's all done to be like that awkward, weird, like you're sneaking off to the bathroom kind of thing. Um, and you need an actor who is willing to go to all that kind of crazy place and also can get the emotional stuff, because she really has her heart broken in the opening scene. And it's so thinking of all the people that I wanted to get, the top of the list for me was always Malin Ackerman. I just have been a big fan of hers ever since The Heartbreak Kid, which I thought she was glorious in, and she's so fun. But then she was also in this amazing TV show called Trophy Wife, which only lasted one season. And if you haven't seen it, it's on Hulu. You have to watch it. It's a great, and it showed like that she can do all of it, the emotional stuff, the comedic stuff. She's just brilliant. And she then, so I sent this letter to her. It was like, listen, you're my number one choice. And when she read the letter, she decided to take a meeting with me. We talked, and after 5 minutes, we realized we were on the same page. And honestly, the movie, she's in almost every single scene. We talked for about 30 hours before we even stepped on set, just to make sure that we were making the same movie. And one of the first things we did was talk about who we would want. And I said, listen, one of your characters is supposed to be your college best friend. So who have you known for a long time that you'd want to play with? And that's where Aaron Hayes came into it, because they've worked together. So it just kind of went like that. We got Aaron, and Rob, who she had, Rob and Aaron had worked together on Children's Hospital. So they were very comfortable being a married couple. And all of these little pieces and parts came together. But some were like amazing referrals from, we got Bria Henderson through her friend who is on Danielle Pinnock, who's on Ghosts. And I had reached out to her, and she said, oh, I'd love this part, but I'm busy doing, stuff for Ghosts. And so, but I trust Bria with my life. You'll love her. And she came through. She was amazing. So that's the kind of thing. And Jerry just read the script and loved it and wanted to do something totally different. So he, and because he is the nicest guy on the planet,
Yeah,
he's
no,
just
that's
the
true.
sweetest guy. So
Yeah,
we
no,
got
he
really
is
lucky. People really responded to the script, but also, it really helped to have Mullen call her friends, and that worked. So
I
long
love
answer,
that.
sorry.
No, I love that. That's something like that requires a long answer because there's this whole winding story on how you got all these great talents together. And you're right, though. Jerry is the nicest man. When I was talking to him last week, seems like the nicest guy. I gotta say, when I was watching this and I saw who was in it, I did expect some laughs, but I didn't expect it to be so well put together, and it directed all that.
Oh,
And that's a testament to you. It's a well written script. Can you talk about what the process of putting that together, Tom?
well, in terms of the writing of it, as soon as I got the idea, I got the idea very much from, I was kind of the Bria character in these meetings. I sat and, listened to, I had a lot of meetings with studio execs who were in their 30s, women in their 30s who were brilliant and funny and charming. And I was like, what is happening? Oh, my cats decided to make an appearance. And they, and these women were like, dating is horrible in LA. You're so lucky that you're married. And I just don't know what to do. And I said, well, you don't really have to have a husband to have a baby. And this one, and I only did it like once or twice, but one time the woman was like, instead of just laughing, it's like, no, that's probably not something I should do. But that moment where she considered it, I was like, there's something in there. And I went home and I wrote on my whiteboard, a heist movie, but they steal sperm. And that's where the whole so then I just started thinking, well, what's a perfect environment where you can have lots of conversations? Because I really wanted to talk about all the different ways. I have 3 kids, and I have 2 biologically and 1 I adopted. So for me, it was really important to talk about the different ways that people have kids. I have a lot of family members and friends who are gay and who have adopted or done, like in vitro fertilization, and other friends who, have tried and tried and tried to have kids and then did in vitro and had, twins or triplets. So I wanted to get all of those perspectives into the movie. And the best way to do that was through this kind of a dinner party, cocktail party, because people have casual conversations all the time. And I knew if I put a couple people who were pregnant there, it would lead to conversations about pregnancy and lead to conversations about children. So that was my way to create a world where those kind of conversations could exist. I also wanted to tell a story that I could contain and wouldn't have a lot of locations, so that I could really focus on directing the actors, and not like, oh, we have 5 more minutes in this location before we have to pull out. Like, let's just get whatever. So I really wanted to be able to give the actors the space to do great work. And I knew that we would have a tight schedule. So that all of those things together kind of made it possible for me to this story just was the perfect vehicle to tell all those stories.
I love that. Okay, so see that totally makes sense. I love that the whole script, the whole story is kind of messy, but your process of making it happen was very methodical and kind of you had a plan for it, and I guess that's where all the best comedy comes from is sort of deliberately, it doesn't it?
Well, I'll tell you, for me, what I realized, I've been a screenwriter for a while, and I've had a couple things optioned and not get made, which was why I really wanted to find something that would be inexpensive to make, so that we could get it, so that it could get made. That was really the thing, and it was, when I look at the kind of stories, though, when I've sat down and what interests me, it's almost always the kind of story where it starts with something that seemed like a good idea at the time. And as soon as you have that idea that it seemed like a good idea at the time, but the moment you step outside of it, it's like, that's not a very good idea. That's going to blow up in their face. Those stories are always, to me, the most interesting, because I think that for me, comedy is all about holding up a mirror to yourself and laughing at the human condition, and not taking yourself too seriously. But the funniest thing is people who take themselves very seriously. Like like Michael Scott in The Office takes himself very, very seriously, and that's what makes him hilarious. Dwight Schrute in The Office does the same thing. I think that when people take what they're doing very, very seriously, it can be even funnier. So I wanted to play with all those things, and I also really wanted to build a story around female friendship, because I think that that's one of the things that as a guy I struggle with. I have guy friends who I'm pretty close with, but if I'm around a group of, like, I would go to the playground with my kid and I'd be the only guy there with all these other moms, and those conversations would just be so free, and they would talk about everything, and I was like, that's, to me, what's fun, and that richness of being, not feeling like you have to kind of pose and be whatever. Like, I just feel like that honesty is something that I really treasure in my friendships with women, and I wanted to reflect back. I think it's a powerful thing, and I really wanted to honor female friendship.
I love that. I gotta say, you mentioned Dwight Schrute from The Office. Let's get into your previous work. This is your first feature, is that right? You've worked with, obviously, Rainn Wilson before, but this is your first feature film, is that right?
It is it is, because it's the first one that's been released. I actually had a very crazy spring of 2022. I had 2 movies shoot almost back to back. The first one is called Home Delivery, which is about it's another contained story where this model who met her husband in rehab and got pregnant like right away, invites her family to come to the home birth with the midwife and all this kind of stuff, to kind of show that she's grown up now and she's like mature, which is, again, seemed like a good idea at the time. Definitely gets messy, definitely doesn't go the way that she had hoped. And so I shot that one in March, and I knew that we were going to be doing Donor Party at some point in 2023, really depending on Mullen's schedule. I'm sorry, 2022, really depending on Mullen's schedule. And then we got a call that said, okay, I'm free the month of May. And it was like, and I was already in prep to do the other one in March. So we were like, okay, that's when we're shooting it. We're shooting it in May. So in April, I was editing the one movie at night and prepping Donor Party during the day. And then in June, I edited Donor Party during the day and the other one at night all month long. It was crazy. I would wake up at like 7, get the kids to school, drive across town to one edit suite, show up at 9:30, go till 5:30, drive across town to another edit suite, go from 6:30 till 11:30, drive home, went to sleep around midnight, woke up again at 7 and just did it over and over. So it was crazy. So that one is actually coming out soon. I'm not able to talk about it exactly yet. But yeah, we're very excited for that one. So the first one to come out is Donor Party, even though I shot it second. So it's always that weird thing of like, yes, it's my first film, even though I shot it second. But yeah, and Rainn Wilson is in the other movie. That was one of the things that we worked on that. But we actually have been friends for a long time, and I I was one of 5 writers on this scripted podcast that I co-directed with him and produced, called Dark Air with Terry Carnation, which is absolutely insane. And if you love Dwight Schrute, and it's kind of like if Dwight Schrute was on the X-Files, that's kind of what it is. It's absolutely bonkers, and it was so much fun to do. So yeah, so I've had a chance to work with some really great people in the comedy world. I'm very, very thrilled, and a lot of them I was able to bring on to both Home Delivery and Donor Party.
Yeah, I love that. I was looking at the cast for the other movie. I won't talk too much about it, but yeah, you got some great, really funny people in there. And yeah, can't wait to see that one too, Tom. Can't wait. I have 2 questions left, and these are more personal questions, and these are also the
Okay.
hardest questions of the day, okay? The
Okay,
first
fair
one,
enough.
very difficult. Who are some people you look to as inspirations, whether they be in this business or not?
I think that in my lifetime, the filmmaker I admire the most is Steven Soderbergh.
You guys have the same haircut.
Because Yeah,
You guys have the same haircut.
We're right there. In fact, just as a quick aside, Rob Corddry and I were joking because I wear glasses to look at the monitor because I need him to read. And when we stood next to each other, I was like, if this directing thing doesn't work out, I could just be your stunt double. I'd be happy
Just
to do
gonna
it.
say, there's a photo in the Donor Party IMDb of you two standing next to each other, and oh my God, you look the same. It's hilarious.
It's crazy. So yeah, so I told him, like, just give me a call, man. I'm there. I'll take a punch for you. And but Steven Soderbergh, because his career is really varied, and he he started with indie, with Sex, Lies, and Videotape, and a bunch of really artsy movies. I mean, I remember being young and seeing Kafka in theaters because I was just like, oh man, that's crazy. And then can do big, Hollywood stuff like the Ocean series and Magic Mike, and always filling it in with interesting choices along the way. I just think he's one of the more interesting people to watch. Kimmy is great, and he never flags. Like he keeps this high level of quality all the way through, no matter what genre he's in, no matter what he's doing. And I just that to me is professionally very aspirational. The other filmmaker who was a mentor to me, and I'm going to get choked up probably talking about her, was Lynn Shelton. And Lynn Shelton was a friend. We came up together in Seattle, and she was really the inspiration behind me doing something small. I asked her because I had like this. I had all these exciting things. I had a script get optioned at a studio, and moved my family down to LA after being in Seattle, and that movie never got made. And she then made these small little movies that just got out there and did really well and were really well made. And so I sat her down and I was like, look, I'll buy you the nicest lunch. Tell me how to do it. And her
Mhm.
words of advice really shaped both home delivery and the donor party. And and I just think think of all the movies that we're not going to get because she's gone, and it breaks my heart. But she was someone whose laugh was the greatest thing, and everyone who knew her wanted to make her laugh. And I was thinking about this after the premiere because she had read Donor Party and loved it and wanted to help get it set up. Um, and if she had been in the audience, she would have been one of the biggest laughers. And that, you know, it was the only bit of melancholy about the big premiere screening is realizing it would have been so much nicer if Lynn could have seen that and laughed. So those are the two for me. I think, I have lots of people that I love, but the way that Lynn is with her cast and crew, everyone who worked with her adored her. And that to me is very aspirational as well. Like I want people to come to work, do their best, but know that they're being valued for what they're bringing, know that they are, that they're the person. It doesn't matter if I wrote this, and the character in my head may have had, been based on my cousin or my brother or a movie star or whatever. They're the person who's doing it. And I always want to honor that voice that they bring.
I love that answer. That's one of my favorite answers to that question that I've ever gotten, and I've asked everyone that question. This next one is a little bit more fun, but a lot more difficult. If you could only watch two movies for the rest of your life, what would you pick and why?
That is tough. I mean, let me tell you the movies that I've seen more than any other movie. And that no matter when I see them, if they're on, I'm watching. Die Hard, watch that. I could be 3 minutes from the ending and I'll watch the rest of it. I can miss the first 5 minutes and I'm watching the whole thing. I think that's just a flawless movie. And Raising Arizona. Those are the
Oh
two
yeah,
that I've watched more than any other movies. The movie that gave me so much joy seeing it in the theaters is Amelie. I just think Amelie is one of those magical movies it's just perfect. It's so great. So, it'd be really tough. And like 12-year-old me would say Monty Python and the Holy Grail because I watched that religiously. Like I taped it off of Showtime or something like that and watched that tape until it broke. So, gosh, that's really tough too. Mm. I mean, I'm going to have to say Raising Arizona has to be in there because it was really influential and I always laugh watching it. And maybe Amelie.
those are not bad choices.
Amelie, my wife will love so much. Like she gets a little tired of watching Die Hard. I tell her it's a Christmas movie. We got to watch it every Christmas. She's like, it's okay. But she'll always sit and watch Amelie with me. So that's, if I have to watch movies and I'm watching them with her, she won't argue with Raising Arizona or Amelie. So there we go. Those are the two.
My podcast co-host Gina, who is an actual doctor, that's her favorite movie of all time, so she would agree with you on Amelie. She loves the film. I love those films. Raising Arizona, great film, came out the year I did. So that year was
Big
actually
year,
excellent.
good
Yeah,
year.
I mean, RoboCop, Princess Bride, La Bamba, all the same year. Yeah,
I know.
incredible. I love that. Uh, Thank you so much, Tom, for joining me
Thank you.
today. And no, thank you for this because I know this is the second time I tried to do this, and the first time I was out and about. But thank you for coming by. I can't wait for people to check out your movie. And if you haven't checked it out yet, it is available right now, correct, for rental
Yeah, it's
and
out
in
now.
theaters.
It's still in theaters. Knock wood, I don't know how much longer, but the more people that see it, the longer it'll last. And then and it's also available everywhere on demand. So you can, if you get it through Apple TV or Amazon or Roku or oh no, not Roku, Vudu, sorry. all the usual suspects, honestly. All DirecTV, Spectrum, Comcast, Xfinity, all that stuff. So
They're all there. The movie's available. You guys should definitely check it out and be on the lookout for our interview with Jerry O'Connell and Aaron Hayes, as well as Bria Henderson. We basically got most of the cast here with us here for this great movie, The Donor Party, out now. Thom Harp, thank you so much, man, for Film Snob Reviews. This has been William, and we'll see you guys next time.